Welcome to Feedback. I'm Mark Despotakis. Tonight we're going to be talking with the author of this book, Adam's Will, Stephen Greenberg. He joins me in the studio, and you see him about a little over a third of the way through the book. Very good book. I recommend it to you. We're going to be talking with him coming up tonight on Feedback. Good evening and welcome to this Tuesday edition of Feedback. I'm Mark Despotakis. Thank you for joining us tonight. As I said, coming up a little bit later in the show, we're going to be talking to the author of Adam's Will, Stephen Greenberg. A great book. If you like to be kind of one of those people who you're reading a book at night and you never go to sleep, if you like books like that, this is the book for you. I'm losing so much sleep reading it already. But that's coming up in the next segment. As per the norm here in my first segment, we kind of take an issue and explore it a little further. Tonight's issue, Britain's foot and mouth disease epidemic is spreading further. You may have heard about this. Started a couple weeks ago in England. We started hearing about, well, apparently it's spreading further. 9 new cases of the livestock virus were reported yesterday, Monday, including an outbreak in the region of West Midlands, Central England. Still, British officials insist the disease is under control. CNN's Walter Rogers has more on the story.
In the English countryside. Not a brush fire nor burning garbage, but the continuing cremation of British livestock as the 3-week-long outbreak of foot and mouth disease continues unabated. The government insists it is under control, but Agriculture Minister Nicholas Brown seemed more subdued and less convincing today.
See that we have it under control. What I cannot say with certainty is how many cases are incubating or where they will emerge.
The viral outbreak that has infected over 114,000 sheep, cattle, and pigs was today discovered in at least 2 more English counties. Even an organic farm in Devon was hit, prompting the farmer, Trevor Cleage, to challenge his government's claim that foot and mouth disease is under control.
I've been annoyed to hear that Nick Brown is saying that everything on the ground is organised and under control, when it's patently obvious that it's not.
British farmers are increasingly anxious because the destruction of the infected carcasses is moving slowly. It's estimated upwards of 30,000 dead animals may be lying in fields. Some carcasses have been loaded on sealed trucks to be disposed of at a rendering plant, but there have been calls for the army to help with the process.
Once they are killed, we must try and speed up the removal of the carcasses or the cremation of them, and that requires more vehicles, more bodies, more manpower.
As dramatic as the farmers' losses are, it's estimated Britain's rural tourist industry's losses are 3 to 4 times greater than that of the farmers, what with much of the British countryside off limits and under quarantine.
As foot and mouth has developed and more areas have become restricted, then it's become obvious to people that have hotels, cottages, who offer tours to those areas that they can't offer those same services, and therefore people are cancelling their trips, and it is having a huge effect on tourism.
So far, the British have identified 168 separate incidents of the disease, this with the spring tourist season upcoming and Easter but 5 weeks away. Walter Rogers, CNN, London.
So there you go. That's what's happening over in England right now. And it's amazing to watch some of that video in there, what they have to do. And as I was watching it today, I was thinking, you know, here we are in the year 2001, and we're still confronted with things like this. Sometimes we feel so safe in our environment that something like this can't happen. That something like mad cow disease couldn't happen. And here we have them actually having to incinerate livestock, and even something bigger, maybe a more immediate effect to those people living over there right now is $12 million a week British farmers are losing. This is going to, possibly economically devastate the economy over there, and it's being spread not only in England but to some of the other countries. So just be thankful where you're living right now that something like this isn't happening here. I hate to say it, but maybe yet. Hopefully that nothing like this will happen. We are going to take a break, a little bit more of a positive note when we come back. The author of this book, Adam's Will, Stephen Greenberg, joins us after the break. Stay with us. Clarion Hospital. Clarion Hospital is located off of Exit 9 of Interstate 80. Clarion Hospital offers outpatient services, transitional care, as well as an emergency room open around the clock every day of the year. More than 400 employees and 80 physicians work to serve the community. Call the Clarion Hospital at 226-9500. Clarion Hospital, providing health care to Clarion County and surrounding communities since 1954.
Hey, kid. Boyfriend wants to know if that girl will go out with him. Pass it down.
Your grandma has to go along the end if she wants to go out with this loner.
The young man wants to know if the girl over there is a donor.
Somebody wants to know if you're an organ and tissue donor.
Yes.
Hey, me too.
Are you a donor? Make sure your family knows your decision so there's no question later.
And I said, you know, it wasn't a better name for a movie to come out now, and I think I'm going to make the movie or write the book. It would be a great book to have, and you can call to get her book. You can also find it online. And I have a feeling I'm going to be rather opinionated, people I know. So let's ask them about scheduling. Why is it that students have such a problem here with?
Tune into Feedback with Mark Despotakis every Tuesday and Wednesday night beginning at 7:30 p.m.
We're totally out of time. No time to talk to you. We'll see you tomorrow.
This portion of the programming was made possible through a grant by the Captain Loomis Hotel and Restaurant. The Captain Loomis Hotel and Restaurant is located at 540 Main Street in Clarion and offers dining as well as a nightclub. The restaurant and nightclub are open 7 days a week for your convenience. Call Captain Loomis Hotel and Restaurant 226-8400.
Welcome back to Feedback. I'm Mark Despotakis, and sometimes I tell you, maybe the books that I'm in the midst of reading. Well, here's what I'm reading now. Adam's Will by Stephen Greenberg. It's actually Dr. Stephen Greenberg. He joins us here in the studio today, and like I said, I may be a third of the way into this book, and it is an excellent book. It's one of these ones I'm staying up all night trying to see what happens next. Stephen, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Mark.
Let's start out with, give us a quick synopsis of the book. I know that might be kind of difficult because it's kind of an intricate book, but give us the Reader's Digest version, maybe. But don't tell me anything I don't know.
Okay, no, I can't. Well, actually, it's about this epidemic of hoof and mouth disease. It starts with a premise that a physician in a small town, it actually takes place in an area very much like our area, although it's not specifically referred to as one of our towns. A physician has been tending an old man who has been in poor health. No one in the area knows very much about this man. And the man at the very beginning of the book dies. The physician, when he's called over to fill out whatever papers are necessary to fill out for the old man's demise, finds that he has been named executor of the man's estate. Of course, he doesn't want to get involved in this, but he's sort of drawn into it. And he's sucked into this sort of vortex of events that he has no control over, and actually drawn into a situation where he's confronted with some really awful things that may and do happen to him. So it's based on that premise, and I can't really tell much more than that because to do that would reveal the real crucial part of the plot.
Which is,
You'll get to it, chapter 15.
I just finished, I think I just finished chapter 9, so
right.
I'll probably, now that you tell me that, I'll probably be up reading it tonight.
15 to 1, right?
Maybe I was a little remiss in saying this in the beginning. You are the founder of the Laurel Eye Clinic and an ophthalmologist there, which is based out in Brookville, right? But there are a couple of them in the area.
Yeah, well, we have, I lose track. I started the practice many years ago, and we have 11 offices now, and I don't know, 14 doctors, something like that. So it's a pretty big practice. But I don't pay a lot of attention to it anymore. I write most of the time.
Yeah, that was my next question. Yeah. Where did this come out of? I mean, all of a sudden, you're, okay, I'm a doctor, and I'm an ophthalmologist.
I've always been a writer that had to be a doctor. I became a doctor under duress. But I've always, my skill and my talent in school was always in writing. Unfortunately, it's not, the vocation of being an impoverished author isn't an attractive one. So I thought, do well in medicine and you know, make your mark, and then you can do what you want, and this is what I've always wanted to do.
Now, you're talking about the book here, there's this old man that this doctor was treating, and he finds that, you know, he's in charge of some things in his estate. Is this something that maybe has happened to you, or have you heard about something like this ever happen?
Everybody asks me that. My practice is basically eye surgery. People come to me, they say, my eye's broken, fix it, and I fix it, and that's it. So I don't have a lot of long-term contact with the patients. But this is the sort of thing that some of my colleagues have. And this particular incident doesn't derive from anything. It's strictly from my imagination.
Okay. So I presume that being a doctor aided in this. How did it help you in writing this book?
It helped only in that this was a very easy book to write. Your first novel should be something that comes to you easily without much effort. And basically that's what happened with this book. It just wrote itself. I sat down at the word processor and the book came out about a year later. My subsequent books, I promise, except in one situation, I have one more medical book in me, but all my other books will not have anything to do with, and this doesn't really have to do with medicine. The protagonist happens to be a physician, but that's not important to the plot in any way. It was just a convenience for me because I know a doctor's day-to-day life, and it was easy without doing any research for me to write that part.
Now, in a doctor's day-to-day life, most doctors' day-to-day life doesn't include writing almost 400-page or whatever it is, novel.
Right.
How did you fit this in while being able to continue being a doctor? Or came first? Oh, no.
This came first. Well, no, I mean, I have, my practice is such that I have a lot of people working with me and for me, and they're able to take care of a lot of the patients. And the ones that finally wind up getting to me are kind of the basket case eyes, and that, after you do it for 20-some years, it's not that difficult. You know how to fix things in a relatively short period of time.
Interesting. Well, interesting, we almost had to postpone the interview today because you had to do some emergency surgery.
3 retinal detachments.
So was that one chapter you're a little behind now?
I made the interview.
So, working on another book, I guess you're always working, or?
Yeah, as soon as I finish this one, I'll start the next one.
Wow.
This one's got about 2 chapters to go.
Wow. So, okay, well, we're going to take a break here. When we come back, I want to talk a little bit about kind of the process involved in writing a book. I was telling you that, you know, we talk to authors here a lot, but what actually goes into it? So we're going to talk about that when we come back. We'll be back right after this on Feedback.
Grant by Fox's Pizza Den. Fox's Pizza Den is located on Old Route 66 in Clarion and offers all-day delivery. Phone 226-5555. That's 226-5555. Fox's Pizza Den is open 7 days a week for your convenience. Phone 226-5555.
This portion of the programming was made possible through a grant by the Carpet Barn. The Carpet Barn is located at 470 South 5th Avenue in Clarion. The Carpet Barn is open Monday through Saturday for all your carpet needs. So call the Carpet Barn, 226-7332.
Wardrobe for some TV5 news anchors, provided by Fashion Bug, located in the Clarion Mall. Whether you're looking for junior trendy, girls, or fashion for women, they have it all, with many different styles. Fashion Bug also offers a wide selection of accessories. Fashion Bug is located in the Clarion Mall, just off of Exit 9 of Interstate 80. Open Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. till 9 p.m., and Sunday from noon till 5.
Home the big highway of life, only one safe place for kids. The front seat's not the place to drop out. Don't want that big old bag to pop out. Put that boobies in the back seat. Have that the kitchen never be out. Here to remind you to put them behind you. To stay alive even when I drive.
Welcome back to Feedback. I'm Mark Despotakis. In this segment, and last segment too, we're talking with Stephen Greenberg, the author of this book, Adam's Will. Now, if you recognize him, he may have operated on your eyes at some point in your life. He is from the ophthalmologist out at the Laurel Eye Clinic in Brookville. During the break here, we were just talking about how wonderful the town Clarion is. It's one of these great and small northwestern Pennsylvania towns. Well, that's kind of what's mimicked here in Adam's Will, but as I understand, it's kind of modeled after Brookville.
Yeah, I guess it's an amalgam of all the little towns around here. There isn't that much difference between them. You take a town of 5,000 or 10,000 people, and they pretty much fit into the same pattern. And I think the individuals that live in them, I think there's certain character types that, although I didn't try to use that for the book, but I think that the relationships between people, I was born and brought up in a city. And the way of life is much different, and I tried to show that in the book. For those city slickers that read the book, they'll see how we live out here now.
Yeah, now, from what I understand, now you say you were born in a big city and you traveled all over the world,
right.
But yet you're still living down Interstate 80 in Brookville.
Right.
Why?
I don't know. I broke down. Well, I mean, I started my practice there, and it's a wonderful practice, a wonderful place to live, and my wife and I travel a lot. And as long as we can travel, I think this area is a wonderful place to come home to. I mean, your car is there after you park it. Some people leave the keys in it. Right. You know, it's a nice place.
Before the break, we were talking about kind of how you put the book first over your practice at some points, or at least it was not necessarily, but I was telling you, so often in being in the position that I'm in, a lot of authors contact me and want to be on the show, want their books want me to do a review of their book or interview them, and they send me the books. I have more books than I'll ever have time to read, or that probably I'll ever want to read, because some of these books are just deplorable, and I'm thinking, that's these people's lives. Now, this is not your life. Well, it's not what your first thing is.
Right.
How is it that you were able to publish a book? Now, I've always seen it as such an amazingly difficult feat, at least as I've understood. And this is an excellent book, but I see some crummy ones even get out there. Maybe take us through your process.
Well, I mean, if the crummy ones get published, then the good ones for sure will. But I had a lot of interest in it when I had an agent, of course, and the agent is the one that shops it around, and it gets picked up if enough, I mean, if you're going to get published if the book is good. If the book isn't good, they're going to send it back to you, and then you can rewrite it. But this one got picked up.
A lot of things go into doing a book. Creativity, of course, good writing, but you also have to know about the subject at hand, and even though this one is kind of medical, I mean, there's still some other things thrown into there that the average person isn't going to know. How did you research the book?
Everybody asks me that question, and I'll tell you, I'm very, very lazy, and I hate doing research. So I just use my imagination, and for some reason it seems to have been on in most cases, because the people who read it who know a little bit about things that I don't know about seem to think that it seems accurate. But it's all strictly from my imagination. There's absolutely no research in there.
Wow. Well, it certainly comes across as amazing.
A good imagination.
Good imagination is right. Okay, so you said that you started out knowing that writing someday you really wanted to write. What influenced you in your life to say that wow, I really want to write? I think it's a fascinating thing.
I don't know. I mean, I think that people have certain, this the old thing, nature versus nurture. I think people have certain innate qualities, and I think if I have any talent in my body, it's for writing. I mean, I've done well with eye surgery and other things, but that's something I learned. But writing, I just always seemed to be able to do that. And I always, you know, when I was in school, my writing really was the thing that always got me honors in a course, or I never had any problem with it. And my preceptors and my teachers in school always encouraged me to go into writing, some kind of writing. But again, I didn't want to be an impoverished writer.
Right.
And I didn't think I'd be an impoverished physician, so.
Right. Fairly true. You know, some teachers helped you along the way, of course. I think everyone can say that.
Right.
But let's say right now someone at home is watching and they're saying, yeah, I want to write someday.
Mm-hmm.
What advice do you have for those people who are saying, yeah, I think I want to be the next author that you see when you walk in the
You've got
world?
to read everything. You have to read everything. Mm-hmm. It's something that Hemingway wrote in one of his books. He said a good author should know as nearly everything as possible. Shouldn't show it, though. Mm-hmm. He said you should know everything, but not necessarily wear it on your sleeve. He said the specific quote is, "The beauty of movement of an iceberg is that it is 9/10 submerged," and that says it all. I mean, you should know the stuff, but let it flow out, not push it out. But reading is absolutely paramount in learning how to write. You have to learn everyone's writing style and pick what's best for you.
That's true. Thinking of an example as you were saying that, I don't know if you may have seen this, Bernard Shaw from CNN just retired in this last week.
Right.
And so they've been doing a lot of tributes to him. And there was one thing they were talking about when he was in the Marines, and he was stationed in Hawaii, I believe. All his friends would go out and party, but they said, nope, not Bernie. He'd sit there and he'd be reading everything. Mm-hmm. And it's certainly proven true for him. And he was even saying that that's certainly the pieces of advice that he gives.
Right.
Read and...
Well, one of the things I was hoping to do in writing this book was there seem to be different kinds of books available. There are books that are written strictly for plot-driven novels, and there are books that are literary novels, which have a horrible plot. They're about somebody's midlife crisis, and they're written in this beautiful literary style, like Wallace Estate. This book, I tried to combine the two things. I tried to write it in a literate manner and tried to write an exciting story, because one doesn't preclude the other. And you know, so far it seems to have been successful.
This is certainly an exciting story. We're running out of time here. Tell us, where can we find the book?
Well, it's on Amazon.com, of course. And it's just 3 months old. It's a little baby, so
we can show you another copy of it.
It's not in all the bookstores yet, but it is downtown. It's Book Nook here. And I understand that it'll be at the distributor, so it should be in all the bookstores in the next few months.
Great. So if you're certainly out in the area, pick this up. I was telling you how I guess your publicity people just sent it to us, and we actually had to call you and get a second book out here because so many people were scarfing this up and wanting to take a look at it. And I'm going to hold on to this. I'm going to certainly recommend it. Thank you for coming out and joining us.
Thank you, Mark.
And like I said, I want you back when the next book is done. 2 chapters away. So thanks. We are going to take a break, and we'll be right back to say goodbye on Feedback.
It may not look like it, but you're watching the future of the Earth pass by. Because many of these products are made from materials you've been recycling. But to keep recycling working, you need to buy products that say, made from recycled materials. For all those next in line, it would mean the world to them.
Hi, everybody. I'm Brandy. How would you like to give hope to millions of the world's children? UNICEF, the United Nations Children's Fund, is saving lives in over 140 countries by providing kids with medicine, clean water, nutrition, and education. With your help, UNICEF can make a huge difference in our world. For more information, call 1-800-FOR-KIDS. Thank you.
Welcome back to Feedback. I'm Mark Despotakis. Once again, we'd like to thank Dr. Stephen Greenberg, the author of Adam's Will. Pick it up at the Book Nook on Main Street. It's an excellent book. Tomorrow night, join us. Clarion University President Dr. Diane Reinhardt joining us at 7:30 on this very program. Stay tuned. The news with Amanda Miller and Susan Honorat is coming up next. Thank you for joining us. Have a very good week. We will see you back here tomorrow night.